To get more of an economic viewpoint, let's bring in Anthony Chan. He's a former chief economist at JPMorgan Chase Company and joins us now from New York. Anthony, always great to see you. First, your reaction to the talks and China's characterization of them.
I was very encouraged with the body language on both sides. The discussions were conciliatory in nature. The talks also came from a position of mutual respect, which was something that China has requested and almost expected from day one. So that tells me that, yes, the extension is probably going to go through. The American side continues to insist that it's up to President Trump to decide if he wants to accept the agreement. But given that everyone knows that President Trump is anxious to have a meeting with President Xi, I think it's all but certain that this extension will go through and that talks will continue and discussions will also move and proceed accordingly.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent calling these talks far-reaching, robust, and highly satisfactory. What signal does that send to the business community?
I think what it sends to the business community is that China, being the second largest economy in the world, will face just a little bit less uncertainty in its trading relations with the United States. I think the rare earth metals certainly hit home as something very important and in fact created a strong incentive to reach some sort of a deal. We're not home yet by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that both sides realize that escalating the tensions or escalating the uncertainty would be counterproductive. And today we certainly saw the realization of those concerns.
So, Anthony, we saw other trade deals made with other countries and the United States. Any surprise that the ones with China, the talks with China are taking a bit longer? I mean, we had this extension, not any big breakthroughs, but you know, this is going to continue on for a while. What do you think of the timeline?
Well, Elaine, you got to keep in mind that given the fact that going into the talks, the United States was already talking about negotiating a possible extension. That was not true, certainly not to that extent in the other areas. So there was a little bit more signs of urgentness on the part of those negotiations with Japan, with Indonesia, and certainly with the Eurozone. But given the fact that we were almost telegraphing that an extension was possible, there was very little incentive for the Chinese to make too many concessions, because they certainly realized that an extension was possible. And therefore, with that, the hope and expectation is that a much better deal or a fairer deal, as viewed by the Chinese, would be possible if they just extended the discussions a little bit longer.
You mentioned the importance of the rare earth minerals, excuse me. What about some of the other topics that were discussed, the tech, export control easing? What do you make of that?
Well, I think that that's going to be part of the negotiation. Obviously, that's important to China, and we've come a long way from a position of NVIDIA writing down $5 billion worth of potential business, and now NVIDIA actually increasing its orders from TSMC. So it's quite clear that that's going to be a concession that the United States is willing to live with, to allow technology sales from the United States to China in exchange for less uncertainty and perhaps some sort of an agreement in the not too distant future.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Anthony Chan, thank you so much for joining us from New York City.
My pleasure.